Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you may be. We welcome you to the Let's Talk Fabulous with Tamara Show. My name is Tamara Hunter, and I am your host. This is the show where we explore our fabulous lives with subject matter experts. Today is Mother's Day throughout the world, and we are celebrating with all of you, those that are mothers, mother like, and we qualify those that are also mothers to our four-legged friends and those that have wings, all of that group, because it's the love that we are sharing with all of you today. So without any further ado, it's time. Let's talk. You may recognize this fabulous panel because they've been with us before. We've had them on because, we love our friends. And we were talking about getting around that kitchen old table, and how mothers are so important. So after that show, we decided we were going to have a special show for today. So they've been planning since January to be with us. They came back for all of you to celebrate this special day. We want to recognize those who are with us today in the studio audience and commenting. We'd love to know where you are in the world, and hashtag live, hashtag replay. We also want a special guest say thank you to our Skip Thomas, the co-host of the Tour of Love that's coming to a TV near you very soon. We are in pre-production, and stay tuned because he did a special song that we're going to be sharing today. We want to recognize everyone else that's here, and thank you, Helene, for all you do as our ambassador of the show, to hashtag live, hashtag replay, and saying hello to everyone that comes and joins us. With that, we want to go around, and what we're going to do today is I'm going to ask our panelists, where are they? And let's kind of spill the beans. How many are you the mother of? How many are you the nana or grandma of? And or how many mothers do you have? With that, LaChelle, let's start with you.
Well, thank you again, Tamara, for having me today. And happy Mother's Day to everybody. I am known as America's Supermom. So I have 15 children, and I have 4 grandchildren. And I have my maternal mother and my mother-in-law who are living with me. So they're not living with me, but that are living, and I'm celebrating today. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. I love it. I love it. Okay, we're going to go next to Lorrie.
Hello, I'm Lorrie Richins, and I am from Fruitland, Idaho. It's about 45 minutes from Boise, and I'm a mother of 7 and a grandmother of 13. And I'm celebrating motherhood for everyone out there, all that have influenced me, and all that are influencing my children.
I love it. And Holly?
Holly Dickinson, Phoenix, Arizona, and I have 4 children. And my first grandchild, 6 months old, and celebrating also my mother and my mother-in-law today.
I love it. I love it. And Johnny.
Hi, everyone. My name is Johnny Tan, and I'm in Dallas, Texas. And I am the son of 9 moms. And I'll just leave it at that.
And thank you, because we're going to actually tell a little bit about that, because there's a story there, as always there is, and you told that story in a book, and we're going to start with a video to go off, and yet with that, I have my sidekick that actually shares what it is that we're doing, and I'm going to have Renee go a little deeper, and then we're going to go into telling your story, Johnny.
Hello, everyone, and happy Mother's Day. My name is Renee Reich, the founder of Finding Your Voice Network and publisher of Finding Your Voice Network magazine. Today, it's all about moms and those who take on the often thankless role of being a mom. As always, you're going to want to take some notes, get some tips and tools, because our expert panelists know all too well what it takes to be a mom. Thank you so much, Tamara, for this opportunity to introduce this very special show. I am so honored and so grateful. Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Thank you, Renee. And so what we're going to do, this, like I said, started because we had this group together and we were talking about actually this book and, you know, about My Mama's Kitchen. How many guys and girls out there can really relate to the fact that when you think of mom or grandma or someone that's been like a mom, you get together for a really great meal, you get together around that kitchen table. Well, there's a book out there that kind of has that title to it and talks a little bit about what inspired this group to come together and then us to come to you today to celebrate this priceless and precious day with all of you. So let's go into it.
Hi, my name is Johnny Tan. I'm the author of From My Mama's Kitchen, Food for the Soul, Recipes for a Living. I'm here today to answer the number one question people always ask me. How do I manage to have 9 moms? Sometimes before I could begin to answer this question, they will follow up with another one. Is it a blessing or a curse? My answer is always a blessing, a tremendous blessing. I was adopted at birth by my Malaysian mom. I spent my first 18 years learning from her. She taught me, in every one of us, there's a seed of greatness. This seed of greatness holds the key to all our successes. The genius in us helps us to identify our dreams, our goals, and our desires. And the talent in us helps us to accomplish them with a heartfelt passion. When I came to the United States to go to college in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I met my other 8 moms. My Southern Belle mom was part of my host family. 6 months later, I met my Italian foster mom in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. I met my progressive and spiritual mom, my Texan earthly mom, and my sanguine Savannah mom when I started working. My last 3 moms and I met during my leisure time in the ballroom dancing community. Yes, you heard me right, I'm a ballroom dancer. My ballroom instructor mom taught me ballroom dancing. I met my German mom at a ballroom dance weekend, and my Cajun mom and I met dancing the jitterbug at the ballroom dance studio in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Fabulous. Okay, so Johnny, you know, you explained a bit about all of your moms, and so today on Mother's Day, as you started that every single one of your moms, every single one of them, not one of them was your quote unquote birth mom, but they were all your moms. That gives me chills because that is what this day is all about. It is all about the love. I'd love to hear just a little bit more about maybe 1 or 2 of the tips that you've taken through. And, you know, you heard around that kitchen table, if you will, that you'd like to share with everybody today in regards to the love.
Well, thank you very much, Tamara. This is just a wonderful show. The key takeaway for me over the years is that family is not defined by DNA. Family is defined by the people that love you and the people that you love. And that's the number one thing. And if I can summarize it real quickly, is that something that my German mom taught me. And by the way, I talked to her. She's the only one still here on this earth. Wonderful lady. Talked to her yesterday to wish her happy Mother's Day. I beat everybody else calling her. And something that she said, something very, very important, is that until we step outside of our comfort zone, we expand our comfort zone, right? Beyond that, this is where we will realize that we have what it takes to make a positive difference in someone else's life. But most importantly is making a difference in our life. And that's the beauty of it, because, when we ourselves are receiving that, we don't think that way. However, when she looks through the lens of love, she saw an opportunity to contribute to my happiness, my joy. And if there's one thing I could say, the common denominator that all my 9 moms share, and all moms, that is, you ladies are moms and you know what I'm talking about, is wanting to have your siblings, right, and your loved ones, right, your offsprings, to be successful in this world. And that's what drove them, and that beautiful power of unconditional love that just rolled out. And they quickly understood that personal success begins at home. And they provided me with that beautiful environment. And they were my teachers, my coaches, my counselors along the way in my lives. And they were actually my cheerleaders when I'm inches away from the finish lines.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Beautifully said. Okay, so we're going to switch, because now we've got a situation where you have all these moms, and not one of them was the birth mother. Now
Yes.
we've got America's Supermom that has an umpteen amount of kids, literally, and same mother, same father. And we're going to share just a little clip, and so you can see them, and then we're going to go there.
Welcome to Real Life Without Excuses. I am America's Supermom. Yeah, I love how we had our own fall festival. Whenever, that was just too funny. That was fun.
Recognize who you are, what you'd like to see in your life, and who you'd like to partner with.
I love that. And, that's coming from a place of power.
She makes. I have written with women who have been through things I could not even imagine. You can tell the old story. Don't dwell on the old story, because most of your friends are not trauma counselors.
Fabulous. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what is it like? Tell us again, how many kids?
Well, it is 15. And my husband and I had 13 together. And we do have a little bit of a blended family, because 2 of my children are my stepchildren. However, it's like when you have 13, what's 2 more? It still is quite a large group. And we currently have 10 of those 15 that are still living at home. So it can be a little crazy and chaotic.
Wow. Okay, so on a Mother's Day holiday, has it always been a wonderful day for you?
It has been. I really can't complain about it. I think it is the one day that I feel like everybody is kind of on the same page of at least recognizing some of the things that, I have done in the past. I feel like it is part of my role to really provide and help with the kids with whatever they need. And, many of us might think it's a sacrifice, but I think it just comes with the job, So I think my mindset has not always been positive, because I love what you had mentioned earlier, that many of us as moms feel like we're not doing enough, or we're not enough, or, we're comparing ourselves to other moms and it seems like they have it all together and we're just a mess with the things that we have going on. So I really think it's more of the mindset that we really work on transforming, because, there's no problem getting the attention, but it's receiving that attention and feeling like we're worthy to receive it, because we kind of put ourselves with too high of an expectation. That would be my thought behind it.
And thank you for mentioning that. And that was pre-show. We were talking about this because truthfully, I don't know about some of you in the audience. I'd love to hear. And I was sharing how when my kids were young, I do have, anybody that knows me well knows that I am a recovering type A+ personality, wink, wink. And that sometimes I was a little hard on myself. And Mother's Day was the day that I seemed to be the hardest sometimes on myself. Now, looking back, it's a day that I realized I should have had a little more grace, like what you're sharing. And I'd love to hear from anybody else that's here on the panel. Anybody else like to say anything before we go on? Lorrie, I see you kind of nodding your head. What would you like to share?
You know, years ago, there's a woman, her name was Lynette, and she was a mother, I think, of 12 children at the time. And she was like the epitome of what you would think of being the ideal mother. And we moved away from them, this wonderful family, and I would get their Christmas letter. And one year I finally just put it up on my bulletin board as like the perfect family that I wanted to create for myself. And a few days passed and I started to break from just the weight of trying to live up to the expectation I had set for myself. And I'm a person of faith, and the Lord gave me grace by giving me an image in my mind. And what he showed me was two different scales. If you imagine a 0 here and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and they were right beside each other, these two graphs. And the Lord showed me that I was at the bottom of the graph, my beginning place of what I wanted to create with my family. And I went up about 4 notches. And then he showed me Lynette's graph. And she had come from a wonderful background. She had a very healthy upbringing. And say she started at a 4 and had reached an 8. And the Lord let me know that he was not concerned about the end location so much as his awareness of where we started, and that our growth was the same, exactly the same. And he kind of lifted that burden off me, and I realized that I can look to examples on what I want to become as a mother, but I can't expect myself to be able to land in the same location at the end as some of these people who had a better start than I did. So I just offered my best, and I offer other mothers that mercy as well.
I love it. In fact, why don't we do this? I'd like to share a video that your daughter created and sent in to me.
Thanks for letting me be on here today to talk about my mom for Mother's Day. She's an incredible woman. I've been so blessed to have her as my mother. She's done many amazing things throughout life, and I could go on and on for hours talking about her. But just one thing that I found to be especially important, and something that I'm trying to do more as a mother myself, is something that John Gottman talks about a lot. He's a relationship researcher, and something he says is so important for healthy relationships are constant bids for connection, which are just attempts with communication or touch that help two people in relationship feel connected. And so some things that my mom would do frequently is, I remember her coming in late at night after I'd already gone to bed, and she would just gently caress my face. Or in the mornings, she would come and just lay in bed with me and talk with me. And I remember her reaching her hand back in the car while she was driving. She'd reach her hand back and she would just gently hold my hand or gently place her hand on my knee. And it was just an assurance that she was there and that she saw me, she loved me, she was happy that I was in her company. And another bid for connection that my mom was really wonderful at was she frequently asked me what my opinions were, what my thoughts were, my perspective on the world. And her doing that helped me to see that I was valued, that my ideas were valued, that she saw me as my own unique person with my own experiences. And I feel very loved and valued and safe in her presence because she's had all of these small bits for connection over all of these years. And I'm working hard to implement those things in my life. I see a difference in my children when I also attempt these bits for connection with them frequently. And so thank you, Mother. I hope you have a wonderful Mother's Day.
Beautiful and fabulous. And I have met your daughter. I've met a few of your adult children. And total disclosure, guys, I absolutely love this woman. She and I have had some amazing experiences at some retreats and such. And I just, if I thought of someone, and that's why I invited you on to the first panel, it was like, okay, I'm going to do something about mothers. To me, you are the inspirational mother of all time. Not that all of you aren't. However, I have had these amazing experiences. And when I learned about your life. I thought, wow, you inspire me beyond belief because you have changed. You decided and made that decision. You made a little bit of you kind of touched on it before we went to the video, but your life as a child is not the same life that your children are living, right? You decided to change the generational patterns within your family. Let's explore that a bit.
Yeah, Mother's Day actually can be challenging for me because I did not, for a long time, have a healthy relationship with my mom. And she died about 1.5 years ago, and some things were still unresolved and just never quite got fixed before she passed. And there's something that I really appreciate. What happens, how do you honor your parents? The scriptures tell us to honor your parents, that your days may be long upon the earth, right? Well, when you've been harmed or you've come from brokenness or challenging backgrounds, how do you honor the people who hurt you? And somebody was actually asked that question many years ago, and to a man actually, and the man's response was, when you live a clean, sweet life, you automatically give honor and bring honor to your parents. And so that's been my mission, that even though some things weren't necessarily resolved in our relationship here, I take everything that I learned, and I'm an empowerment coach that helps families heal. And so I try and help other people heal their families, because I know what it's like to have pain linger. And another thing, I was talking to a gentleman recently who had a drug addict mother and some extreme challenges in his childhood, and this awareness came to him. It was a scripture that came to him, and basically the summary of it was, she hath done what she could. And sometimes when we come from brokenness, they offer us what they could offer. They didn't have more to give. And so the Lord's going to hold us responsible for what we do with what we have been given. And it can be a great honor to improve upon what we've been given. And I think they can be very proud of us, if not in this life, in the next, certainly.
And this is your crew. This is, I mean, how beautiful of a family. And like I said, you guys, I have met quite a few of her adult children now over a period of time, and they're just as delightful as Lorrie is. And if you ever have had a situation in a personal life, your personal life, if you're experiencing it right now, please, please, please realize that there is hope. There is so much hope, and that's what I want to share in this show today, because from, like you were sharing, from sometimes the open, brokenness, or honoring, when we are trying to find that honoring, because we've been told in a good book that we can, how do we go about it? And you said it so beautifully, so we can be, if you will, kind of lift the burden off of ourselves if we're feeling a certain way, because some of those times and some of that is what also takes the sweetness of a day like today, where we can have the grace to say, okay, they did the best they could. We did the best we could. And what we're going to do is make the best we can today going forward. And so thank you for sharing that with us. Anybody else like to share anything before we go on to our next video? Okay, yes, Holly.
Right. So I always had this image of what I wanted to be as a mother and parenting. And, that image, this perfectionist image, that came from, I also came from a lot of trauma childhood and very dysfunctional, and mom raised 7 kids on her own after she got us away from dad. And so I just had this image of what I wanted to create with my family, right? I wanted, yeah. And I lived up to that, and it nearly killed me to live up to that perfectionist image. However, the greatest things I wanted to create for my family was pure safety. I wanted them to know that no matter what, they would be loved, 100% loved, no matter what they chose in life, whatever direction, whoever they chose to become, that they weren't going to be judged, and that I was going to love them 100%. That is the gift that I give them. Because I know so many parents that they push their kids away when they don't live up to their expectations, whether it's of a different faith or whatever, and it breaks my heart. And so the gift I can give my children is 100% safety. They are always safe when they come here. They are safe with our love. They are safe, period. Okay. And I wanted them to know they are 100% accepted. And so when I stopped playing that perfectionist role and stepped into the transformation of myself, I became a whole different kind of parent. And it has just, our family has always been bonded, but now it's just so close knit. And I would say healthier than it's ever been, because there's 100% acceptance and 100% safety. And that is like the greatest gift that I can give my children.
I love it. In fact, let's hear from her adult children right now.
Hi, one of my favorite memories of my mom was when we were little, and during bedtime we would have story time, and my mom would tell us this story that she was writing about a dragon and a little princess and their adventures that they have. And after the main story was over, she had us help her build more short stories afterwards, and it was kind of like a choose your own adventure, and it's something that it was just a blast.
My favorite memories of my mom were all those trips that she organized when she was my Girl Scout leader. We just went so many different places and experienced a ton of things that not many young girls would get to normally experience. And just one of the most recent trips was to New York. That was one of my favorite trips, and going as an adult member, being able to experience something like that as an adult as well, changed me. The yearly beach camping trips, but just so many life experiences that normally wouldn't have been able to get.
When both her and I worked hard to do a humanitarian project in Kenya for my Girl Scout Gold Award, and how supportive she's been on just my life journey ever since then.
So starting from a really young age, Mom always made sure that I had all the opportunities to learn and grow, starting with like piano lessons, there was karate, tumbling, dance even, and then as I got older, like 12, and she was there for me for Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, and that was huge. I got to explore so many different topics, so that was huge in finding out what I was actually interested in, and she was there for me and she really helped me.
She was a Girl Scout leader, she was a Cub Scout leader. We were heavily involved in a Boy Scout organization, specifically focusing on scuba. All of these things were to give the kids just extra opportunities, and she was very selfless in that respect and always cared about what was going on with them, and making sure that the kids had those opportunities to learn and grow and find skills and interests and hobbies that they wouldn't have otherwise had the opportunity to do.
How sweet to hear from your adult kids. And I loved it when the one talked about going on some of the trips, because it sounds like you guys went on trips a lot, and service type trips and fun trips. Yet when the one spoke about as a child getting to go, and then as an adult getting to go with you. So that transition has got to be a great experience now, because now you're going to have the next generation coming too. So is that, it sounds like that, and then your husband sharing too, just adorable. Let's just say adorable, fabulous. That's something that's been kind of like front and center in your full family, right?
Yes. Yep. We were absolutely involved in our kids' lives, just 100%. That was my thing was, I felt abandonment when I was a child, and I never wanted my kids to feel that. I wanted them to know I was 100% there for them and going to be fully involved in their lives. And so I did that. I just did that. Yeah.
Was it always easy?
No. I had several meltdowns. Let's just be real. It was very challenging because I was living up to this perfectionist ideal in my mind of what I wanted. And I'm that like type A where it has to be what it is in my head. Right. So I wanted to break all the cycles from the generational stuff that I went through. So I was on purpose. I'm going to create this new stuff for my family. I want them to have healthy, right? Even though I didn't make healthy for me, but I didn't understand that then.
Yeah.
Okay. That's something that I had to learn in the process, right? I finally learned what healthy was for me.
I'd love anybody else that wants to step in here, and I'm going to step in real quick, and then I'm going to let you. I have a feeling this is going to be something everybody's going to want to jump in on, because the bottom line is that I had to finally realize I'm a recruiter, second generation, and I had to finally realize, being a mom didn't have a job description book that came along with it, and we find our way, and we need to find that grace. And anybody watching this, you know what? The good news is that there's so much good news. These women and Johnny and everything that he is doing too, there are so many people out there that have been there and done that and realized that, we can have healthy environments, and we can enjoy. And maybe we'll have a few meltdowns, because I had a few of those myself. I remember more than once being on the floor crying, and I'm sure I'm the only one. Yet, I will say that the thing that I wanted to share here is that my kids and I've written about it a lot. We went through many, many dark times. We had some real struggles, yet we were always open and honest with each other in our conversation. And that we would get through it, and we would talk about it non-judgmentally and real. And that is the thing now that I've got grandkids, that my kids will come back to me, my adult children will come back to me and say, what, I'm so glad that we were able to have, when you were talking about the safety, that we had the safety to be able to have those moments. We would sit down and we would be real talk about what we were dealing with, but we could do it together. And that's what I wanted to share, because the togetherness, you lead by example. Sometimes the mom does, sometimes the other kids do, but it's that joint togetherness that I wanted to share in here. Johnny, I said, do we go to you next?
Yes, sure. Thank you very much. And one of the things that I want to share from the recipient side of the equation, and having those 9 moms at different times in my life, one of the things that I have to come to terms in terms of all my moms, and especially my Malaysian mom who adopted me at birth, because I left her when I was 18 to come to the United States, and I did not see her till 8 years later when she came and visited me. And I didn't go home to Malaysia till 15 years, for another 7 years, so that total of 15 years. The point is, our moms loves us the best way they know how. And I think when we accept that, because we have a certain amount of expectation, unfortunately, some of those expectations may not necessarily come true, because everybody has their life to live, and situations dictate on how much or whatever it is that they can give. And as you realize that as we talk about this, the beauty of it with all you ladies right here, that within yourself, you realize that, I want to give it all, but situationally, not today, come back to see me tomorrow kind of thing. And I think in the end, as the recipient side, as we realize that we come to think about it, our moms are there for us, no question about it. And in the end, they love us the best way they know how.
I love it. I love it. And what a tribute that you created now what's become a brand with, From My Mama's Kitchen, and now you've got the magazine that you honor mothers. And you do this because of the fact that you are honoring all the women that have touched your life. And I want to say thank you for that, because sometimes as mothers, I don't know about you guys, but I will raise my hand on this one. Sometimes you kind of wonder, okay, are they listening to me? Are they getting it? Are they going to get it someday? Are they being a bit of a sponge? Maybe that someday later they'll notice and remember, those. And you writing a book, now doing the magazine, doing all of this because of being that sponge of all these women that poured into you. I just absolutely think it's fabulous that you're here sharing this, and it gives us all hope. I don't know.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, the book started out, and again, this is a guy thing. I wanted to write a recipe book preserving my mom's food recipes. And when I started writing it, what came to mind was, forget the food. It's the motherly wisdom, the pure, unadulterated, unconditional motherly love. They were there for me. They were my teachers, my coaches, my counselors, like you all were mentioning, because at certain time in our life, right, that's who we need. And mom had that role. They changed the cap and said, okay, I'm not the coach and I'm now the counselor. And that's the beauty of it. And that book of things about Recipe for Living Life, these are timeless motherly wisdom, things that we don't want to hear, and things that I thought I told you that, but I had to talk to somebody else to validate it. And moms, don't get upset. We all go through this, and you all being mothers and daughters, right? You realize that, you're never an expert in your own backyard. Somebody else had to say something the same thing. But the beauty of it, if we look back and we look at it through the lens of humor, it's all worth it because it's fun, because this is part of living. And that's the beauty and joy of motherhood to me. That's what it's all about.
Beautiful. Anybody else like to piggyback off of this right now? We'll go down the line. Lorrie, and then America's Supermom. Okay, go ahead.
I had an experience quite a few years ago. I was actually looking for my birth dad, and I had he didn't know I existed, and it was just a very complicated scenario, and I ended up having this very painful experience that was just very, very bitter for me. And my husband and I went to this cafe to eat, and I had this impression to buy a little book off one of those spinning racks, that sometimes have little books. And I actually have the book here. It's called God's Little Instruction Book for Mom. I've never purchased something off, a spinning little wheel like that before, but I just felt like I needed to. And it was a rainy day. It was quite miserable out. And the page still has raindrops. It's made the page a little bit wilted and wrinkly, because I walked outside and I opened up to this page, and it was like God needed me to understand something, because I could have really turned on my mother at that point. The situation was in consequence of a decision she had made. And this is the page that I read, and it said, "Think of the sacrifice your mother had to make in order that you might live. Think of the sacrifice God had to make that you and your mother might live." And so this wrinkled page that is dried up from the rain, it was like my own tears were falling in that moment. And I love getting this book out on occasion, because we may have been harmed to some degree, inadvertently, in purpose. We don't, none of us can really tell. But it's a sacrifice that they carried us and they delivered us, and that we've even been able to have a life. And I think it needs to all be whittled down to that basic principle.
I love it. Beautiful.
Mm.
LaChelle?
I love that. And excuse the background noise. It is a hopping household here. But
You think?
I want to speak about that unconditional love, because my husband and I, we had our first child before we were married. And, there was a lot of people trying to pour into us. This is not the right way that you're supposed to have children. And, maybe you should think about getting rid of this child. And I think when we think about unconditional love, it is really love without conditions. It's not, I love you if you agree with me, or I love you if you do everything right. As a mom, it's important to understand that it's a training ground for our kids. I heard this interview one day, and the woman said, our children are not created to make us look good. We are there to support them and help them to nurture their gifts, to find out who they are, because all of us are different with different strengths and different weaknesses. And so I think that's important to really remember, because there's a lot of pressure around moms thinking that if our kids are doing good, then we're doing good. But I think we really should understand fully what unconditional love is, and understanding that we may not experience some things that our kids experience, but what does love look like in that moment, and make sure that we be that example at that time.
I love it. I love it. I have the sidekick for this show is Renee Reich, and many of you know her, and she introduces our show and the focus of it. And she actually sent in a tribute for her mother, and I'd like to share it.
Hello, everyone. And Tamara, thank you for this opportunity to give a special shout out to my own mom on this very special Mother's Day show. Mom, I love you. I appreciate you. I am so thankful for you. My mom has been a pillar for me all my life, but especially these last several years. I know I have been a pillar for her as well. We've been able to lean on each other in ways that nobody else would ever understand. We're there for each other, and we're there with each other. So thank you, Mom. I love you. I appreciate you. There is something so special about a mother-daughter relationship. And I am grateful I have you as my mother. Thank you so much. Have a healthy, happy, and sweet Mother's Day. I love you.
I love how she said, and have a sweet Mother's Day. I think that is just absolutely so heartfelt. And Skip is saying, what does love look like? Our hearts know. And it's so true. And as we are preparing for the tour of love, and it's all about raising the frequency of the world through love, and our world needs it so much right now. And mothers have the heart, or those that act as mothers. I want to recognize that too, because there are many stepmothers, there are many aunts and grandmothers, there are many that may even be the father that needs to take on both the mother and the father role because of whatever may be happening in their family unit. We honor all of you today, and we want you to know that your love, your unconditional love, is absolutely recognized. And I want to share a special song, and I put it out there. My co-host, Skip Thomas, also known as Poe, he writes and sings and has done so much for our nonprofit and for the Tour of Love and so many of the things that we've been working on, projects we've been working on for the last so many years. In his own family, they had a situation happened, and he ended up writing this beautiful song in honor of his mother, and then put it to images. Let's share it with all of you.
Without our mothers, what would we be? So much of life we would never see. It's never too late. All the memories to thank you for all you gave so selflessly. So I take pause this day, and I fold my hands. Thank God I pray, may I be the man that shines your light in all I do throughout my life to honor you. When I was young, you'd always be, you never turned away. So thank you, Mom. I honor you this day. Six kids, dozen loads of laundry, carpools, football games, pancakes. It's time for school. How in the world did we ever make it here? And now I'm old and looking back now at dusty chapters remind we forgot how to embrace your gifts that made me me. So I take pause this day, and I fold my hands. I thank God, I pray, may I be the man that shines your light in all I do throughout my life to honor you. When I was young, you'd always be there, you never turned away. So thank you, Mom. I honor you this day. And as the sun goes down this day, the light of your love fills my sky. And tomorrow, each day, I pray heaven's grace falls from above. We never know when that time will come. We came so close to that today. And through the prayers of love, the grace of God, all our fears, they fade away. I sing a prayer of healing, of family hearts a bleeding. We shout to God, we need you now. In life you showed me, with God all I can be, 'cause I'm the one who holds the key. So I take pause this day, and I fold my hands. Thank God I pray, may I be the man that shines your light in all I do throughout my life to honor you. When I was young, you'd always be there, you never turned away. thank you, Mom. I honor you this day. Oh, and thank you, Mom. We honor you this day.
Am I the only one that like teared up?
It's beautiful. Totally.
You know, Skip, thank you very, very much for allowing us to share this beautiful song with all the mothers and those that have taken on those mother roles for so many out there. And I had said that I was going to pay tribute to my mother, and there she is. There's actually now the one that I'm holding, that's me in the middle, is now a mother of my grandchildren. However, there's my mother to my left, and then her mother to my right, my grandmother. And there's the 4 generation of women in my family. And I want to honor them today too. Because it is a generational love that we're sharing. And as we close, we've got about 30 seconds for each right now that I'd love to be able, and we want to say thank you to everybody that's come to the show today and been with us live. We've had people all the way from Australia to Africa. I have been seeing who's here. We've got Canada that's been representing. We've had so many throughout the world that have joined us. And we know that you have been in the middle of the night to be here live with us. And we recognize that, and we honor each and every one of you that have been here with us. So as we close, 30 seconds each, what would you like to share with the world, with your family, whoever it may be? America's Supermom, I'm going to start with you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for this opportunity. I would say first, love yourself so that you can love others. Abundance is really pouring from your overflow. So making sure that you fill your cup up, and so that you do plant seeds of love in others. And thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Are you kidding? You know, absolutely. I honor you and am so grateful you're with us today. Holly, what would you like to share?
I want to say that I honor my mother, I respect her, and I am grateful for all the incredible hard choices and sacrifices that she made for us. And it showed me many things to be, many things not to be, but I learned so much, and I'm so grateful. And we can all honor our mothers in some way, some way.
I love it. I love it. Johnny.
Okay, for me, moms, you are the COO, if not the CEO of your family. I've been so fortunate to have 9 moms, and in honor of my 9 moms, all I could say is that this is something that I want to give everyone. I have a Inspiration for Better Living digital magazine designed to help moms build a better future for themselves, their families, and loved ones. And as I mentioned, personal success begins at home. And so I'd like to give, in honor of my 9 moms, I'd like to give out a digital e-coupon, a full subscription for the whole year for that magazine. Plus, you get all back issues as well.
Beautiful. And you'll be putting that comment and that link into the comments for the show. We'll make sure that it gets out onto all social media. And so thank you for that gift. I'm sure, though, if you can't find it, that check with Johnny, say you saw it on the show, go to him and messenger him, and I'm sure he'll give you all of those links. Thank you so much for that beautiful gift. And Lorrie.
I have written a book. I felt it was important to share some lessons that I have learned about parenting and surviving trauma and being able to eventually create a healthy life of my own. And it's called Fortified, 10 Effective Strategies to Fortify Our Families. And you can find it on Amazon. And Bruce Springsteen said something years ago that I thought was profound. I've kind of packaged it in a simple little quote, which simply says, when it comes to our families, we take the best and leave the rest. And that's really sometimes all that we have the power control to do. And so if you're looking for wisdom on how to raise healthy families, you can find my book, and just realize that we can still create a wonderful future for ourselves and our families if we so desire.
I love it. I love it. And I also want to mention that go back to the other show that we did together. Look for the show, and look for this panel, and you'll be able to find out more about all the different specifics that all of these amazing panelists, fabulous panelists, wink, wink, that what they do. And also, if you would like to add in any contact information into the comments, for all of our panelists, please do, so that everybody can find you. Bottom line is this: please, 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 on this Mother's Day 2023, so much is happening in the world right now. And take time away from the news, away from unplug, and look at those in your life that matter the most, be it your family, be it friends, be it whomever it may be. And give thanks for them. Raise the vibration with love, because the more that we're raising the vibration on our world collectively through love, the better our world will be for not only today, but for our generation to come. And that's what I want to encourage each and every one of you, and say thank you to my personal mother, my grandmother, those within my family that are the mothers now. I want to recognize each and every one of you and say that I dearly love you. So with that, next week's show is going to be absolutely a celebration. You want to show up. Until then, have a fabulous Mother's Day. Bye, everyone.
Happy Mother's Day.